Hey everybody, it's Wayne, and today I'm going to get you guys the first update on a new series that I'm titling Race to 100. Let's go ahead and kick things off with a recap, and that recap begins with a shameful confession. Neither my wife nor I, up until earlier in this year, had ever contributed 1 penny to either of our Roth IRA accounts. That all changed when we found out about making a contribution via the backdoor Roth IRA contribution method. So I can tell you going forward, we will never miss out on maxing out our year's contribution. So for 2022, we each maxed out our accounts for the sum of $6,000 each. What did we buy with that $6,000? Well, I can tell you, with both of us being in our early to mid 40s, we're going to have about 15 plus years before we can touch that money in our Roth IRA. So we wanted to invest in a stock that has both long-term growth as well as a solid long-term dividend yield. You guys probably guessed it, SCHD, everybody's fan favorite. So we bought $6,000 worth of SCHD, which equates to about 81 shares when we bought it. Now, for 2023, we also maxed out our contributions of $6,500 each. But rather than scooping up additional shares of SCHD, we wanted to see if we were to buy covered call ETF funds, specifically JEP-E, JEP-Q, and DEVO, would we be able to take the monthly distributions / dividends and use that income to build up our position of SCHD? And in my account, as you guys know, I like to sell covered calls as well as cash secured puts. Could I take that $6,500 and, different from my wife's account in which she purchased covered call ETFs, could I write covered calls myself, generating that income on a monthly basis, and then I would use that income to build up my position of SCHD. Hence, which account can get there as far as 100 shares of SCHD, who can get there the fastest? All right, so go ahead and take a look at the spreadsheet that I've created. On the right-hand side, we're going to focus on my wife's account, and you will see the only dividend that we received in the month of May was for DEVO. Unfortunately, when we bought our shares of DEVO, JEP-E, and JEP-Q, only DEVO were we able to get in before ex-dividend date. So we're not going to be able to see any incoming dividends for JEP-Q and JEP-E until the month of June. But still, we did receive $7.93 of passive income. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look here at the left-hand pane, and you're going to see my spreadsheet for all of the option income I was able to generate for the month of June. And guys, it's a complete blowout. One of the concerns that I had when I began this endeavor was, yes, Wayne, I am good at selling covered calls as well as cash secured puts, but I've never worked with a very small pot of money, specifically $6,500. That is all I had to work with from the 2023 IRA Roth contribution. Would I be able to generate the type of premium that I have been generating in my brokerage account? And clearly you guys can see, despite having to make moves with subpar stocks, I'm going to be honest, stocks that maybe you've never heard of, I was still able to generate $579 just in premium. Now that breaks down to be 9 contracts that I wrote in the month of May, and that's going to be for $114. I wrote a total of 20 contracts for cash secured puts, and I was able to generate $465. That's a total of $579. Now notice I also had $80 that I earned in capital gains. So for the month of May, $659. Let's go ahead and give you guys a look at the all of the moves that I made in regard to cash secured puts. And guys, it probably shouldn't be a surprise to you if you've been following along on my will updates. I've talked about PACW. It's a regional bank institution that has really seen some elevated implied volatility and seen some phenomenal premiums. And if we just go ahead and sort on PACW here, let me go ahead and quickly do that. I want to break down how much just PACW itself generated in the form of premium by selling cash secured puts. And you guys can see I wrote a total of 16 contracts. Remember, this just began on May 17th. Today is June 3rd, so not even a full month. And just on writing cash secured puts for PACW, I was able to generate $404. So again, I am taking advantage of that elevated implied volatility. I'm loving that I've been able to write as many contracts as I have. The only real restriction that I've had is just not having enough cash, because clearly if I had more than $6,500, I maybe would have been able to even double that amount of that $404. So let's go ahead and sort this on date again. And again, I want to walk you through really quickly the first contract that I wrote here, and you will see that it began with PACW as well as TQQQ. Now, TQQQ is a leveraged stock that I also write cash secured puts in my regular brokerage account on a regular basis. But unfortunately, it's a rather expensive stock. You can see here the one contract that I wrote within the Roth account was for a strike price of $27.50. That means if you multiply that by 100, I had to have $2,750 of collateral. Yes, I did write one contract and I was able to close that out early, but I quickly realized that I'm going to be able to make more premium if I focus on stocks that cost significantly less than $27.50. So you're going to see, guys, that I focused on stocks with much smaller strike prices. For example, PACW, I wrote several contracts in which the strike price was $3 or $1.50 or $4.50 or even $5. I also wrote contracts on AMC, Boyle, EOSE, GRPN, and so you guys can do your own research. Again, I'm not here to tell it to you that these are the best stocks ever, but at the time they had very lucrative premiums that I was able to take advantage. So far, I have been very lucky where, if again, my goal was to only obtain premium, I don't necessarily want to be assigned. Now, a little bit different here in the covered call realm. I did buy a couple of stocks, 100 shares worth, and you guys can see here immediately after buying 100 shares, I did sell covered calls. So for example, PACW, I was able to buy 100 shares and immediately I turned around and I wrote a covered call with a $6 strike price. That was subsequently assigned, which means that those shares were called away because clearly the share price of PACW went above that $6 strike. That's okay with me because clearly I also profited on that transaction. So not only did I make the premium of $45, but I also made $56 in capital gains. And so I used those capital gains to also buy additional shares of SCHD. So all in all, we've made $113 with selling covered calls for cash secured puts. I've made $480. And you can see here, I haven't quite updated these numbers yet entirely. Part of it has to do with the fact that I only wanted to focus on the month of May. And because the last week of May included the first 2 days of June, well, it kind of gives you a rough idea of what I've made in the month of May, but technically I haven't included the June numbers. But you can see here, I have made $659. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the Roth IRA account, and you will see here, currently I have buying power available to me for $3,772. The reason that's not completely $6,500 is because, as you guys saw from the spreadsheet, I have other cash secured puts that are actively up and running. But the most important thing that I want to show you is how many shares of SCHD I currently own. And if we look down here at my purchases on SCHD, you guys will see things begin with the initial purchase of $6,000 worth of SCHD. Remember, this was the 2022 contribution of $6,000, and that $6,000 purchased me 81 shares. It also purchased my wife 81 shares. But having generated this premium in the month of May, I've made a series of purchases for $209.97, $139.98, and $278.20. So if we add up all three of those purchases, that equals $628.15. One of the things that I like to do with making purchases is, even though I made $659, because I have several contracts that are actively open, I will leave myself a small amount of money just in case I choose to buy to close early. Remember, when you buy to close early, you are paying back money to be able to close out that contract early. So that's why I did not just take the full $659 and invest that entire amount into SCHD. So I purchased $628.15. Now, if you guys remember, things began with me owning 81 shares of SCHD. Where are we at right now? Well, I am up to 90 shares of SCHD. Again, I don't even know how long this race is going to last, because I had a pretty fantastic month of selling cash secured puts and covered calls. If we go back here to the spreadsheet, you'll see only $7.93 came into my wife's account. So let's go ahead and take a look here at her Roth IRA account, and you will see if we are in the retirement tab, she did purchase a very fractional share of SCHD. Remember, she did receive that distribution from Devo. And so if we scroll down over here and look at the history, you're going to see the initial purchase of her $6,000 worth of shares. And then there you'll see it on June 1st, when I received that distribution from Devo, I used that $7.93. But again, guys, a very, very fractional share. So far, guys, she has a total of 82 shares. I am currently in the lead with 90 shares. And again, if we go back to the spreadsheet, if I'm able to have another successful month in June, I might be able to purchase out another 5 or 6 shares. One thing that I want to point out here by pulling up the calculator is if you look at how much I earned in premium. So let's go back over here and we'll take this number, $579. If we take $579 and we divide that by how much I began with, that means for this very small, I don't even call it a full month, I'm at about 9%. That's not bad, right? If you could take that 9%, you can multiply it by 12, that would be a rather fantastic number. So I really think the big takeaway from what's going to be the conclusion of this video series, and it's not today, right? We're going to go ahead and follow this all the way through until we reach 100 in either my account or my wife's account. But I really think the takeaway is you can generate reasonable premium even with a smaller amount of money. You don't need tens of thousands of dollars to make 9%, 8%, 7%, right? I'm proving it that with $6,500 in just 1 month, I made about 9% in income. Now, that's not factoring in all of the capital gains that I made. So if we were to factor that in as well, that number would probably be closer to 10%. So I'm really excited about this. As you guys know, PACW was my stock of choice pretty much for the month of May. I can tell you right now, their share price has continued to elevate. So I don't know that I'm going to see the premium like we saw in the last couple of weeks, which means I'm not going to be able to rely on PACW going forward as much as I have been for the amount of contracts. So you guys are going to have to remain tuned in to see what other stock I can go ahead and pivot my focus to and see as to whether or not I can also make $480+ for the month of June. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys enjoyed the content. Make sure you guys are hitting that coveted thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much.